It's December! Yay! Time for Christmas, winter holidays, and it was just my birthday. I turned 17. Guys, I'm not ready to be an adult in, what, a year? Meanwhile, I'm still stuck in 2020. So yeah, I wanted to make a more personal video this time, as I really love talking about interesting media, but I have a bunch of other stuff that I wanted to hear in the channel, and I'm way too indecisive to box myself into just one niche, so while I know that this video will get like 2 views because of it, I just wanted to talk a bit about my OCs and stuff, and I hope you guys still find it interesting. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but I finally got a mic to record the audio instead of using my phone. So I hope that helps the audio quality be better from now on, and it gets rid of all of those uncomfortable air thoughts I've had this and very quickly, if you don't know me, I'm Teacup. I made this channel to share stuff that I find interesting about the things that I like, and since I love different media, I've also got a bunch of OCs, original characters, in case you don't know, and stories that I make up in my head. They're nothing too deep, or even that cool. I mean, I'm into pressure and that sort of thing. So most of my stories are the type that could be a show for kids or middle schoolers, with bright colors and family-friendly storylines, in most cases. My most valuable one, and one I hope to make into a comic, or if I win the lottery, a show, in the future, it doesn't have a name yet, but its beta name is Wake Up Dreaming, so I'll be drawing the characters while yapping about them today. And from now on, the video will be mostly unscripted, so feel free to put me in the background while you do something more productive. So yeah, let's start with Cora. She is basically a generic anime protagonist. I mean, most of my characters follow pre-curricular tropes, like for example, she's the pink-haired character, so she's really active and energetic. And there's also the other character who has yellow hair, so he's kind, and then the blue-haired character is the smart one and that kind of stuff, so yeah, expect that from my characters, I guess. She's really sporty, but she's also really hot-headed, and she acts before she thinks, so that's also an issue. She lives in Fafol, which is the central region of the island of Lundia. Fafol as a place is very, like, I don't know how to say it, like, European. I mean, I imagine that pastries there are really good and that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, it's really aesthetic in some sort of way, and people who live there usually live comfortably. Like, nothing too luxurious, but there aren't really that many cases of poverty either. The main conflict of the story starts when Cora starts to notice that the magic in the island is starting to fade away. As the magic in Lundia is kind of like electricity here, in a kind of way. I mean, they use it to power all of the stuff that they use. It also works like gas, so it's basically like the main energy of the island. Guys, sorry if I'm being really awkward, it's just that I don't tend to do unscripted stuff, but I've gotta get used to it, I guess. So yeah, but suddenly one day, Cora realizes that the magic is starting to fail. It all starts because she wants to get an ice cream. She goes to her favorite ice cream place, and she realizes that there's a huge line in front of her. And her childhood friend Henri tells her that it's been like this the whole morning, and that it seems that the ice cream machine that the ice cream shop owner had is suddenly starting to fail because the magic is not working. So on her way back home, she starts to notice the magic failing much more in a lot of different situations, so she begins to wonder what's going on, and upon asking her dad, who is a single father, upon asking her that, he reminds her that magic, according to an old legend, came from a comet, which fell down from the sky 5,000 years ago, and that it comes from the Moonset Island, beta name, in the southern parts of Lundia, and that all of the energy is stored in a little egg, which is able to grant you a wish or your heart's desire, kind of like the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, but as an egg, a magical egg. So, Cora, the main character, decides to go on a quest to find the egg. Well, I mean, she already knows where it is. However, it said that a bunch of people had tried going there and they have failed. So she tries to go on a quest to get to the egg, be able to fix the problems with the magic, or maybe make a wish about fixing magic. Because magic is really important to her. Like, since the start of the story, we see that she enjoys magic, not just in the utilitarian way that most people use it, but also wonders about it. And she's really curious about it. So yeah, she decides to go on a journey, and she tries to go through the Enchanted Forest, which is connecting Fafol and the southern parts at the start, but it's too dangerous and she ends up getting injured, so she has to go through the long way. Not me looking for an excuse to make her go the long way. So she has to go through the other way, and the first person she meets is Zero, who she meets in Ceflop, which is a region neighboring Lundea. And basically they meet each other because he's working in his family restaurant. They're all teenagers because why not? So he works for his family's restaurant, and Cora is looking for a place to eat, and she finds Zero's family's restaurant, where he's helping out and being kind of like the waiter. And while he serves her food, she starts telling him about all of the stuff that she's trying to do to find the egg and all of that stuff. And he gets kind of interested. He's really kind, and he tends to be a mediator. Turns out that he has a bit of an issue with people-pleasing tendencies. He tends to do stuff just to make people feel better, or what he thinks will make people feel better. And actually most of it stems from a conflict that his dad and his aunt have been having for all of his life about the restaurant, as they both have differing ideas about what they want to do with it. So he's always trying to please people and avoid conflict. That's his main thing, that he doesn't like conflict. He tries to avoid it the most that he can. So, learning about the egg again, because I'm assuming that most of the characters already knew about it since they were kids, because it's a popular legend. He says, well, why not? He tells Cora that he can join her, and he asks her if, he can be his cook and that kind of stuff, and also accompany her so she doesn't have to go alone. And in exchange, he'll also be able to ask for his wish, making his dad and his aunt not fight ever again, like making them agree all of the time and have no reason to have any conflict anymore. That might sound kinda toxic, and that's the point. Like, they're all supposed to learn throughout the journey about how their wishes might not be exactly what they need. But yeah, I'll talk about that later. Someday. Maybe. So yeah, they're both really different in terms of personalities. Like, Cora is really hot-headed and she is really active and sporty and outgoing. And Zero is more of a soft-spoken kind of person. He's still an extrovert. Like, he's not really shy or introverted, but he's much less violent. He's much more calm, and he tries to talk through problems and be the mediator. He tends to be the mediator between Cora and Lane in most of their fights because they fight a lot in the story. And yeah, his whole journey is about learning to accept conflict, like to not be really conflictive or violent, but also that it's okay to disagree and that kind of stuff. So next is Lane. She's kind of like the actually kind of character. She's really smart, kind of like book smart. She knows a lot about Lundea, so she's basically like the Google for the group. So while Cora brings the passion and Zero brings the food and the calmness, Lane brings the information. So throughout the journey, whenever they find something that they don't know about, Lane can be there and try to investigate what it's about, or maybe she'll just already know. Zero and Cora meet her in Sifos, a region next to Ceflop, which is kinda like Venice. I imagine it like Venice. So it's full of water and there are little like sub-islands where everything happens and people have to travel by boat, like rowboats. I think that would be cute. I mean, it's like Venice but make it fantasy. But not really, because that's just how Venice is in real life, so... She lives with her aunt because her parents passed away when she was really little. She was like a toddler, so she never really got to know them. She was basically raised by her aunt, and she helps her in her hospital. It's more like a hostel. I don't know how to call them actually. It's kind of like a hotel, but it's also kind of like a healing place. But yeah, she helps her out with that. However, she secretly wants her parents to come back. Like, she never really actually met them. She feels like she would have been much better if her parents had been there. Like, her life is pretty good, like, her life is pretty nice, and her aunt is really caring. However, she still feels like she needs to get her parents back, or to have never even lost them, in order to be normal, or to be complete, or that kind of stuff. So, once she meets Zero and Cora, she thinks, oh, maybe I can join them too, and ask for my wish when we get to the egg too. However, she's really nervous, as she also really loves her aunt, and doesn't want to leave her there alone because her aunt is kinda sick, and she would feel remorseful if she just left her alone. But the aunt ends up realizing that and ends up telling her to just go. Like, that she'll be fine. She also has a lot of other helpers there with her. So she tells Lane to go look for her wish, and she manages to join the trio. So now with our main character trio finished, I'll talk about the last character. Well, the last character that I can talk about, who is Arrow. He's kinda like an antagonist. He's the antagonist of the first half of the first season, but the second season is only half of the size of the first season. He meets the characters in a contest because the main characters want to get something that is called a Sinus pendant, beta name, a sinus pendant, which is basically like a pendant, a necklace, that will guide them to the egg. So that way, once they finally get to the Moonset Island, they'll be able to know where the egg is located, so they don't get lost. And they manage to find that information through some like weird ancient scriptures that they find laying around, and they seem to be part of a bigger book, but they don't have the whole book, so they're just believing that random piece of paper. Well, they arrive to Ecosea, another one of the regions, and there they find out that there's an antique shop selling the necklace. So the main trio decides, oh, we can get it, like we can buy it or something like that. However, the owner tells them that they're actually gonna have to compete in a contest. I still don't know what the contest is gonna be about, but they have to compete in a contest in order to win it. And none of their opponents seem to be pretty easy to beat, because none of them know what the sinus pendant actually is. They just think it's like a cute necklace. Except for Arrow, who is always wearing a mask and a cape, so he's really secretive, and he really wants to win the sinus pendant. However, in the mean, he ends up winning anyways. But they keep on meeting him, and well, he's much more cunning, analytic, and aloof than the other characters. He doesn't really relate with others, he's always seen alone, and he's able to use potion magic. He has a belt where he has a lot of potions, which he uses like to his advantage. He's not really lawful, like he's willing to do anything as long as it doesn't actually hurt anyone to get what he wants, which is to get to the egg before the main characters. Like, we don't know why, I mean, I do, but we don't know why at first, but he just really wants to get there, and he wants to get there before anyone can. So yeah, that's why he's kinda the antagonist for the first half. And well, that's it for the characters, but as I've mentioned, this happens in the island of Lundea, or archipelago. I actually don't know, as it's only made out of one big island and another really tiny one, so I don't know if it counts as an island or as an archipelago. So I'm just gonna call it island until I'm able to know. So if you guys know if it counts as an archipelago, I'll just call it an archipelago instead. I don't wanna lore drop because that's really boring, but basically it's divided into 9 regions, including the 4 ones that I've already mentioned, and the characters go through them throughout the journey. I'm still not really set on how the map's supposed to look like, because originally I had this shape, but I don't know, it just looks really, I don't know, I wanna have more variation in size. So the main place where they want to go to is the Moonset Island, which is where the egg is located, and it's next to Onten, which is the region where all of the magic comes from. There are also the other missing regions, but I don't know if they're really that interesting to you. Like, if they're interesting, I might talk about them more in another video. But anyways, no one is ever gonna watch this video, because it's just me yapping about my OCs. But yeah, I mean, I can't really reveal much else, as I really want to make a comic about it someday, and I wouldn't want to spoil anything. Although you guys can probably already easily guess where the story is going. So I'll probably just keep developing it more while I'm still a student. So once I have the chance to actually make it, I can make it the best possible it can be. Just so it doesn't fall into too many cliches, or just so it isn't boring. So just so it's like an interesting story. Like, it will still be cliche and it will be kind of like, but I don't know, like I really like making stories. I actually have like 10 plus stories, but this was just one that I really wanted to talk about because it's the one that I have developed the most, and the one that I'm actually looking forward the most to making in real life. Most likely as a comic once I'm in college or something like that. Maybe once I've graduated, who knows. So yeah guys, I hope that you still found it interesting, even if it was all over the place. It's my first unscripted video, so it was really awkward. I actually don't know how many times I said like. But yeah, I guess that this is just what I've gotta do in order to get used to it. I wanna make a bunch of different types of videos in the future, so I hope that if you guys really like the kind of media analysis videos that I make, just to know that I really love making those videos and I'm not gonna stop making them, but I also wanna make a bunch of other stuff. I mean, I don't know, if you're willing to put up with that, please subscribe and like if you haven't done it already. And thank you so much for watching my videos. It's so nice seeing the channel grow. We already are at 300 subscribers, so thanks so much for that. I hope that you have a nice new year and a nice Christmas too. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you in the next video. Which, knowing me, if I don't get myself together, I'll end up uploading in probably 6 months. So see you guys in either 1 month or maybe in 6 months for my next video. Bye guys!